All right. Welcome, everybody, to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 504. Today is the 10th of July, 2024. And as Bradley just told me, we have a ton of questions, which is great. So appreciate everyone asking their questions ahead of time by going to semanticmastery.com/HDHO. And I guess some of them, or actually, I know some people have been talking to AI, Bradley, but other people opted to get the real deal answers from us at Hump Day Hangouts. And happy to answer the questions. Just a couple of quick announcements. We've been sending out some emails about the replay of the webinar with SEO Gets with Matt. If you had not had a chance to see that, you can see it on the YouTube channel. So head over to the Semantic Mastery YouTube channel and subscribe. But also, if you're not on the email list, just go to semanticmastery.com, sign up. We send out a ton of helpful information throughout the week and also notifications about upcoming webinars as well as replays. And then speaking of webinars, Bradley's going to be talking to Mike Martin. I don't know, Bradley, you want to tell people just quickly about what that webinar is going to be about? And I'll pop the link in here shortly.
Yeah, Mike's got this really cool program. I thought it was such a brilliant idea. So hats off to Mike. But it's about creating directory sites where you're like local directory sites, preferably niche specific, but local directory sites. Then you optimize for very heavily for the brand names of the companies in whatever industry you're building a directory for in a particular local area. And I tested with it a couple of months ago when I was introduced to it, and it's a phenomenal strategy for poaching traffic from competitors. For if you have a local business client, you go out and build this local directory in a particular, with the same industry, and you just import all the contacts, company listings that you can scrape using a scraper into the directory, and you optimize the shit out of each one of the directory listing pages for the brand name of the companies, because most SEOs do not optimize their local business clients for the brand. They optimize for search queries, generic search queries, guys. And I've been teaching for months about how many times the homepage of local SEO type or local business type websites typically is very poorly optimized for the brand, because they're always optimizing for keywords. And sometimes you don't even see the brand name in the SEO title, etc. It's just absolutely crazy that people don't optimize the homepage of their website for their brand. And because of that, there's a lot of opportunity for SEOs to go out and outrank branded searches for competitor companies. And so why not? Why not do that and start siphoning traffic away from competitors to your clients' assets instead? And so it's a brilliant strategy. And I've Mike's got, I mean, it's just amazing. I've got a few test sites out there that are actually generating leads, and I'm selling leads from those sites. And so it's almost pure profit. And it's crazy because it's these sites have no backlinks at all, and they still outrank branded searches for competitors in an area. In many cases, in some cases, no, but in many cases it does. And so anyway, I think it's a brilliant strategy. Mike's going to come on and talk about that, and he's got some tools with Magic Page plugin, et cetera, that will help you to develop these very, very quickly. Eventually, when I'm working on adding my own flavor or spin to Mike's process, that is the semantic mastery way. But my bandwidth is quite limited at the moment for developing new kind of services, et cetera, new products, new methods. But I am working on that as time permitting. And so my guess is within the next few weeks, I will have my own kind of spin on what Mike is teaching. And so I would encourage anybody to check out the webinar. I think it's a brilliant strategy. I really do. I'm seeing results with some of the test sites that I've set up. So, and very, very quickly too. So check it out. We're going to be talking about that with Mike next week. And it's been a while since we've had Mike on, and I've always respected Mike. So it'd be good to have him on.
Nice. All right. Well, I realized kind of skip things, but wanted to get that out there because a lot of people are really excited about that. So definitely encourage you to go register for that if what Bradley was talking about there sounds interesting, and you want to find out more about that. So, Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. Super hot here. So summer is here as usual, but at the same time, super busy. Lots of work in progress. Yeah, stay tuned. There's more coming.
Nice. All right, Bradley, how about you? How goes things?
Busy as all hell, but things are good. I hired a salesperson finally. So I'm really excited about that. They start next Monday for semantic links, and a real killer. I went through this very, very extensive process with the company that I hired, a recruitment company, a headhunting company, and I spent a lot of money a lot of, I mean, more than I ever would have imagined, but they presented 6 potential salespeople to me that were all killers, every one of them. And so I had a real hard decision in a very lengthy interview process that took about a week to get through it all. But I finally selected this young fellow who's just really ambitious, and so I think he's going to do well. Hopefully, I hope so, because I've invested a lot of money into it. But he starts next Monday. That there's going to be about a month where of a lot of coaching and guiding to get him up to speed. But once he's off on his own, that's going to free so much time up for me, guys, because I handle 100% of sales on my own. And so that's going to allow me to start developing more and testing and doing more marketing too. So generating more leads and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to reclaiming some of my time so that I can get back to doing some R&D, research and development for local SEO methods and all that kind of stuff that I love to do. So.
Sounds good. Let's see. I had a link here. Right. I wanted to mention to people, Bradley, we were talking about this yesterday about some of the updates and some of the changes we want to make, some of the improvements to the DHA training based upon the people you've been going through this with. And I just wanted to let people know that that first, I don't know what we call it, cadre or group of people, phase 1, are going to be wrapping up. So I want people to be aware that there's going to be an opportunity coming up here. We don't have a time set yet, but my guess would be I hate to do this on the spot, but would be maybe August, early September when we start kind of the next phase and people are able to jump into the DHA training on their own.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We're in the second to last week of the first phase, the first group from phase 1, which is a 12-week program. And so, we're going to be wrapping that up in about 2 weeks. And then I'm going to probably take about 2 weeks before we start the next phase. So in roughly a month, we should be opening up phase 1 again. And then we're going to start phase 2 for the program members that want to graduate from phase 1 to phase 2. I don't expect everybody will, but I think most of them will. And it was great because out of 14 people that joined the first phase 1 group, we had 11 that have been very active and participate almost every single time. We've had one that is participating behind the scenes. I just had a one-on-one accountability meeting with him today. And so he has absolutely been working behind the scenes. He just doesn't participate in the group meetings and stuff as much. So we really only had 2 that kind of basically dropped out or became missing, MIA, went MIA, missing in action. And so that's pretty damn good considering, it's a very intensive program, but it's a lot of personal coaching, guys, as well. There's group coaching and personal coaching and group, office hours and all that. So it's been polished up significantly from this first group. It's been improved significantly. The SOPs are incredibly detailed now because of all the feedback that I got from this first group. So the second group, we can add more people to it because there will be less bugs to work out. So we are going to raise the price slightly, but we're going to also have the first phase 2 group running concurrently with the next phase 1 group. So it's really cool because it's starting to progress. Guys, I've been working on this for over 3 years, this concept. And now we're finally, the rubber is finally meeting the road, so to speak. So I'm really excited about taking the next group in because I think it'll go better as far as you guys you'll have all the information that you need right up front. You can work at your own pace. We still have an aggressive schedule, but we've even modified the schedule a bit to allow for some catch-up time every 3 weeks. So like I said, I think anybody that struggles to grow their own agency, this is the solution. And I would encourage you guys to consider checking it out when we relaunch.
Outstanding. Well, cool. Guys, anything else before we get into it? I know we got a bunch of questions, but I think that's basically it.
I think we can do it.
Cool. All right.
So guys, I'm going to grab a screen and we're going to get right in. We got a bunch of pre-posted questions, guys. I do see a couple of comments though from Sonia in the chat that I do want to address very quickly.
Cool.
Sonia, say, how should we write content for local SEO? Well, what I would stress more than anything about writing content for local SEO is to not stress the content so much. Focus more on page structure and site structure and internal linking. Those are the 3 things that matter the most for local SEO right now. Proper page structure, which is about URL, SEO title, page title, which is the H1, headings and subheadings. Headings are H2s, subheadings are H3s, 4s, and 5s. If you can convey to Google what the page is about through just those elements, seriously, without any content at all, Google can understand other than headings, guys. Like I swear to God, I've been testing this over the last few weeks. and you can convey to Google what the page is about with proper page structure with no content. And I've even got tests out there right now to prove that. And so focus on the proper structure, learn about what I call topic and category optimization, then figure out how to stack or create the structure of the page with the proper hierarchy of headings and subheadings. And when you do that, you don't need to focus on the content and optimize it for content. I'm not saying create pages without content. I'm saying do not spend your time going to Surfer SEO or Page Optimizer Pro or On-Page AI or any of those on-page optimization tools and getting into that negative feedback loop that they all promote, which is over optimizing the content. You don't need an SEO score of 85 or 90 or 95 or 100% based upon what those tools tell you to be able to convey to Google what the page is about. You don't need all that stuff. And so, and I'm 100% sure of that through my testing. And in the mastermind, I share those test guides, by the way. So if you don't believe me, I don't expect anybody to believe me. I show data and I show that in the mastermind. And so all those people out there, I just had a link building client cancel because he's got, you know, one of your questions, Sonia, is should I have, if I've got six services in 10 service areas, should I have 6 service pages for each location? Absolutely not. That is precisely over optimization, and it causes it's duplication, redundancy, it causes crawl resistance. Google is punishing sites like right now that are doing that. In other words, having all that kind of redundant content, and each one of those pages would probably have 1,500 or 2,000 words of content because that's what people tell you you're supposed to do in order for you to rank in Google. It's all bullshit, in my opinion, based on my own personal testing. And I do a lot of testing in the local SEO space, mainly for service area businesses, guys, just to be clear. But what I found is that you can convey to Google, when done properly, exactly what the site is about in a very efficient way by focusing on page structure, site structure, and internal linking. It's not the content that matters. What you should be focusing on with the content is making it compelling, conversion rate optimization, not focusing on SEO through the content. The SEO of the site can be accomplished through page structure, site structure, and internal linking. It's so the copy, I think it's made it better, guys, because now we should be writing copy for the visitor, the human, not for SEO. And again, now I don't know, that may change. Content may come back as an important signal in local SEO sites, but I've been testing a lot with this lately, and I know for a fact that I can rank sites with very, very thin content just because the structure is proper. And so that's what I would focus on. And absolutely not, you do not want to have service 1 plus city, service 2 plus city, service 3 plus city. You need one city page that is optimized for the top level topic or category term. That's what I've been teaching. And then you reference those. You have a page optimized for each individual service. Yes, but that's non-location specific or location agnostic, right? So in other words, you create pages for each service that are thoroughly optimized for each one of those services, and make sure that don't have closely related services that could potentially cannibalize each other, because then they should be consolidated into one page. But all I'm saying is if you have 6 distinct services, then you can have 6 distinct service pages that are not optimized for any location. They're optimized for service and brand, period. And then you create the location pages. In this example, it's 10 location pages that you optimize for the top level topic or category term. And then you reference in that page I like to use heading tags. Actually, I do an H2 that says we provide the following services in this location. And then you reference that city for that particular supporting location page in that H2. And then the H3s is where you reference and link to each of the service pages. And it's an actual H3 hypertext link. Do you understand? Because now Google reads that page, and just through the heading tags and subheadings, so the H tags alone, Google knows exactly what the page is about. And so that's how you associate the location page with all of the services, and vice versa. On each service page, you put an element block that has an H2 that says we provide, this service, whatever that keyword is, in these areas. And then you have H3s that then reference each of the location pages with an internal link to each of those pages. So it's a reciprocal link between service pages and location pages, right? And vice versa. That's what a reciprocal link is. And so that's how you associate the pages without having to do redundant, duplicated content. And I'm telling you guys, the only pages that really need to have thorough content is the service pages. The location pages, think about it, guys. You want to satisfy the intent of the searcher. Do you think a searcher wants to land on a local page where that and get hit with 3,000 words of content. Come on, think about it. Most people are, when they're searching, it's on a mobile device. The page should very clearly convey to the visitor who the business is, how to contact them, and if they need more information about a particular product or service that business provides, where can they go on the site? So navigational elements that take them to the page that then thoroughly describes that product or service. But when people land on a location page, guys, which is what should show up in the search results for a local search query, when people land on a location page, that's not an informational query. They're looking for who's a business that provides the product or service that I seek, and now I found one, how do I contact them? And if they want to find more information about the particular products or services, how on this site, where do I go to learn more about that? So make the page speak to that, right? And you can do that through headings and internal linking. So you don't even really need content on the location pages. And I mean that 100%. I've got tests out there right now where I literally strip the content from every page and we're still ranking. Like, swear to God, it's incredible. And it's because, again, that may change, but Google's not really paying attention to the content right now. And so all those negative feedback loops that people get into with these on-page optimization tools that try to get that 100% score on all their pages, it's telling you to over-optimize. It's telling you to squeeze a bunch of keywords in there and put your entity density or keyword density up real high and all that. It makes it almost unreadable. And the visitor lands on the page and they're hit with 2,000 words of content because the tool that you use told you that that's what you need. It's not true. It might be different in other, like outside of local SEO, guys. All that may be true. I don't know. I don't do anything other than local SEO anymore. But in local SEO, that's completely unnecessary, and you're wasting your time if you're doing that. So stick to the basics. Again, going back to simple, basic on-page 101. Like, I'm not talking to you specifically, Sonia, but to everybody else, like, go get the SEO for Dummies book, right? So, and I'm not kidding. And go back to basics of on-page optimization, where like page structure was important and proper use of HTML tags, et cetera, was important. Seems like we got away from that as SEOs. I did too. I'm not gonna lie. I used H tags for styling elements and stuff for a long time too. But now, and through recent testing over the last many months, I found that that has made a resurgence as being critically important, because Google is trying to reduce the amount of crawl budget that it provides for each site. Like, in other words, it's reduced it already. So there's less amount of crawl time allowed or crawl budget allowed per site. And so if Google can crawl a page and just check the heading tags and understand what that page is about through the heading tags, it's ignoring the content anyways. So why are we putting 3,000 words of content on a location page for, roof repair, a location page for roof repair? Nobody needs to read 3,000 words content for that. They need to know, does this company provide roof repair services? How do I contact them? And if I want more information about the method that they use for roof repair and the materials, et cetera, then where do I go? And that can click to a roof repair page that then explains all that stuff. But the location page, which is what should rank in local search, should be about who the business is, how to contact them, and where they can find more information about the particular products or services provided from that business at that location, if that makes sense. So anyway, hopefully that's clear. Again, all this stuff is taught in the mastermind. So very, very extensively. I'm going to move on though, because I got to get to these pre-posted questions. Some of these were from last week, guys. I said I was going to try to answer some of them. We do have one here that from Robert Gage. Robert, I'm not picking on you, man, but that is a hell of a lot of content to read for a question. I'll do my best. I might hold that one till last if we still have time. I'll get to it just because it's so big. That I appreciate it if you guys can keep your questions a little bit shorter, because it's hard for anybody to pay attention for me to read that long of a question, just to be clear. But anyway, let's jump through these guys and try to get through them as quickly as possible so that I can try to get to those more thorough questions. The first question is from Ora. I'm sorry, I know I butchered that name. Forgive my ignorant American self. Do you use a third-party call answering services for your tree service clients' businesses? Yes, currently I use Answer Connect. Been using Answer Connect since 2014. So for 10 years now. There may be other better source services out there, but I've been using these people for 10 years. And that is something that I do for most of my tree contractors. I actually encourage them to get on to that. However, more recently, I have invested into AI Answer. This is a company that is developing and, oops, excuse me, let me pause that. I recently this company to have them develop an AI app that does that can answer calls, do outbound calls, send SMSs, email, like all, and it integrates with high level. So it's currently still in development. I think our first prototype will be ready within the next week. No kidding. I just had a call or group call with my partners at TreeCare HQ, my agency, my local SEO agency, and we with the developers at AI Answer today. And I think we're about a week away from the prototype going live and for my own agency. And so then we're going to, once I've proven it out as a sales, as kind of a tool that helps me grow my agency, then I'm going to have the same company develop apps for tree care contractors. So like an AI assistant, an AI agent, as they call it, for tree care contractors to be able to answer calls, answer questions, book, quote request appointments and schedule jobs and things like that. So, like I said, I've been using Answer Connect for 10 years. These are humans that answer the phone, and I've been happy with their service. But I have invested in this, and I hope to switch over. And there's more cost and development on using this than going with Answer Connect. But overall, in the long run, this will be cheaper. This will allow me to increase my margins on that service, my profit margins, if that makes sense. So I answered your question. Hopefully, yes, I use answering services. I actually really try to get my tree guys to use an answering service because it will improve their business and help them to generate more revenue, because they will have more leads will be convert to booked appointments, meaning like quote requests and ultimately jobs, if they have somebody answering their phone instead of it going to voicemail or they're missing calls, etc. So Chris says, there information in the mastermind and best practices for interlinking. Yes, I mean, I just described it publicly right now, but yes, we have very thorough SOPs now for exactly how I build websites and how to do the page structure, site structure, and internal linking, guys. That is what matters the most right now for organic ranking and local SEO, but that also has a significant influence on how the GBP performs. And so I not only teach what I've been teaching within the tree service industry, which is where I do all of my testing, but also example projects on how to apply those methods to other industries where the situations are different. Like, do they have multiple business categories? In the tree service industry, it's pretty much one business category, Google business category. It's tree service. But like other companies that are I use this example all the time, but an HVAC company that does HVAC plumbing and electrical, which many of them do. Those are three distinct Google business categories or service categories. And so that the way that you rearrange the page structure is always going to stay the same. That's going to be universal based upon my testing. But the internal site structure and internal linking has to be modified when you've got multiple service categories. Also, depending on whether it's a service area business that has one location or multiple locations, or there's a bunch of different ways to apply what I've been teaching, depending on what the specific circumstances for that local business client. So in the mastermind, I offer all the time, if somebody has a project that they're willing to let me use as a training opportunity for the rest of the group, then send it to me and I will do a full SEO audit, which includes how to structure page structure, site structure, and internal linking. I'm providing those in my audits now, which is why I'm going to raise the price of my audits a little bit. So I only charge $149 for that, but now I'm adding a lot more detail to them that I wasn't 6 months ago. Because before I was telling people in the audits, like how the recommendations, but now I'm actually taking the time to type that out, and I'm providing you SEO titles, SEO title recommendations, H1 recommendations, and the first H2 recommendations. And now I'm even including internal linking recommendations in those SEO audits. So now my audits are taking more time than they had been before, which was 2 to 3 hours. Now they're taking more. So I think I'm going to have to raise the price on that a little bit, but that's just because again, I teach all this stuff in the mastermind. And what I'm saying is what I do in the SEO audits, I will do for free for mastermind members if they allow me to use that audit as a training opportunity for the rest of our group. And I've had a couple of people take me up on it. I just had another one yesterday agree to it, that I'm going to try to have prepared for the Build with Bradley group tomorrow. But if it's not done by tomorrow, it'll be ready for the mastermind webinar next Thursday. So again, just letting you know, Chris, if you want to join the mastermind and get that information, I will personally do it for you and show you how to interlink, optimize sites that you work on if you allow me to use that as a training opportunity for the closed group, not in public setting like this, but just in the mastermind. So hopefully that's clear. I wanted to extend that offer to people because I know I talk about this all the time, but I know a lot of SEOs have a hard time translating what I teach into their specific use case. And so that's why I wanted to offer that to our group, is because I know it can be done. It's just somebody's asked me before, why don't you have an SOP on page optimization? Because every single, depending on what type of business it is, depending on whether there's multiple locations or single location, is it a service area business, a storefront business? Are there multiple service categories, only one? All of those things affect how I would design the site, structure the site. The page structure is the same, regardless. Doesn't matter what type of site it is. But the site structure and internal linking, that is determined on the specific project. And so that's why, like I said, in the mastermind, I've been extending that offer so that I can show how to apply these methods in any circumstance, as long as it's a local, and I say any circumstance, let me caveat a disclaimer to that. And that is, there are some obscure industries that I really know nothing about, or that are kind of odd and that don't really fall into this model. But for most local businesses, especially service area businesses, so like contractors and things like that, this method absolutely works. And I've proven it now for 2 years. I've been working on this, guys. And so again, I would encourage you just to check out the mastermind if that's something you're interested in. All right. And like I said, I already talked about site structure and internal linking right here on today's call. And you get that right, guys. I'm telling you, you need far less backlinks. You need barely any content at all. You don't need dozens and dozens of pages on the site, because you reduce it down to the bare minimum, and it makes it efficient for Google to understand what the site is about. And Google is rewarding that right now because it's easier on their servers, their processing requirements, if that makes sense. And I feel like that has a big impact on search right now, and how Google positions things. So anyway, Ron says, what software do you use to distribute leads to businesses that request quote on your lead gen sites? High Level. I use High Level. I used to use Mike Martin's, oh, for fuck's sake, what's it called? Lead Simplify. But then eventually, once I kind of transitioned into High Level, I do all of my lead distribution through High Level. 100% through High Level. Okay. Robert, I'll come back to the question if I can. Like I said, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put you off, but that is an extremely long question, and I want to be fair to others. So Rob says, the BatchGeo map an asset that I can control and edit after you create it? No. If you want to do that, you're going to have to find another provider, or subscribe to BatchGeo yourself and then build them yourself. There's Marzano. He recently, within the last few months, launched a course on BatchGeo map optimization, and Marzano's course, and I know it's very, very thorough. So you might want to check that out if you want to do them yourself, or find a vendor that will, maybe they can charge a service fee and you can go in and, make edits, etc. We don't do that. As a white label SEO agency, we're not doing that. It would require an enormous amount of people. So no. It says preparing live stream. Are you guys hearing me all right? Adam, Chris?
Yeah, sir. I can hear you just fine.
Okay, because something popped up on Zoom that says preparing live stream.
Says meeting is streaming live. I think we're good. I'll check comments though for sure, or you can see them. Yep. Thank
you for confirming. Another one for Rob. What is the role and function of the accompanying cloud page and my map citations that are part of the map stack? It's a good question. That the cloud page, I'm not real sure why my vendor provides that. I've never even asked them, to be honest with you, but it's a cloud page, so why not use it, right? It's another link building target. So that's, and then the maps citations, I get that. I understand why people do that. I'm not convinced that it has because I haven't done any testing myself with it personally. Honestly, I'm not convinced that those map citations really do anything anymore. I know many years ago when Semantic Mastery, launched RYS Academy, Rank Your Shit Academy, which is where Google Stacks were invented. My former partner, Marco, was kind of part of the, it was him and one kind of a colleague of ours that developed Google Stacks initially, and we launched RYS Academy. Now every SEO in the world knows about Google Stacks, and they all use them. Dozens of vendors on Legit and all those other sites. If you want a good Google Stack, go to David Morgan. But anyway, and he swears that those map citations still work. I remember back in 2015 when we launched the whole kind of RYS Academy and that Google Stack method and all that, Drive Stacks, whatever you want to call them. My maps were just crushing it. We could do amazing things with my maps, but over time it had a waning effect. Guys, remember, that's how Google works. Google finds out that SEOs have found a loophole that we manipulate, and they eventually close that loophole or make the signals from that loophole less effective, less prominent, if that makes sense. So that's the nature of SEO. We always find things that we can exploit, and eventually the masses catch on, and so does Google. And in Google, it might not entirely kill it, but it makes the effect of that loophole significantly less. Like it diminishes the effect of that significantly. And so we got to find something else to exploit. And that's the cat and mouse game we play as SEOs. And so I'm not sure about the map citations. Again, I've not done any specific testing myself in several years. So I don't know if there's still a benefit to it, but I have some other SEOs that say absolutely there is. And, you know, some of them I trust. And so, you know, I just send them to you guys because I personally don't use it. Don't do anything with them for my own projects. The citations, the map citations that come with it. But you can. I mean, you can test with, you can play with it. You can build links to that sheet, whatever you want. You know what I mean? So just to be clear, like I said, the cloud page is a good kind of additional link building target. The map citations, you know, you can do what you want with those. Personally, I don't really see where there's a whole lot of benefit from that, but I could be wrong. I've just not done any testing with that, to be clear. Everything should be tested, guys. You know what I mean? So anyway, moving on. Is it effective to seek for purchase expired domains that were in the same niche and have niche relevant backlinks to 301 to the money side of the ID page? I don't recommend that. I mean, the ID page is okay, but you can do it occasionally, but I don't recommend doing a lot of redirects, domain redirects to a domain, because that is, in my opinion, a spam signal. Because it's, you know, Google can, if you have a whole bunch of domains redirected to you know, that Google can identify that pretty quickly. So I don't recommend it. Why not just build the domain out? If you're going to buy a domain and it was expired, it was in the same topical category as what you need it for, why not just build the domain out? That's what I do. I don't like to do redirects, right? I mean, the only time I do redirects is if I have a PBN, so a site that I'm using for link building, that I need to boost because it lost its maybe it had one really strong trust flow link and it loses that somehow. So then I'll go out and I'll find a couple of domain, you know, a domain or two that has strong trust flow in the appropriate category, and then I'll redirect that to the site because that's a tier 2 link. Does that make sense? Because it's powering up a PBN that I use as a tier 1 link. So what I'm trying to do is just push relevance into that tier 1 blog that I've already built out on an expired domain. That makes sense. I recommend building the assets out, guys. Don't just redirect. Redirecting is lazy. Yes, it's a quick way to kind of push relevance and link equity into a project, but in my opinion, it's a red flag that can be discovered algorithmically. So don't do that. Just build the asset out. There's so many tools out there now with AI that you can build sites like that, like entire sites with like a push of a button. Why would you do a bunch of redirects? Just build the sites out, host them on various hosts, hide your footprint. Now you've got multiple assets out there that you can use, not just for one project, but for multiple projects. So anyway, hopefully that's clear. I don't see a single comment in chat today since the start of the webinar. So I hope you guys are live. Check the volume. Got 13 people watching, no comments. That's odd. So I hope this prepare live stream thing isn't fucking us up. But anyway, moving on. Ron says, I can't figure out how Local Fury pricing works. For $9.97, Bradley would audit site structure, headings, etc. Unlimited local business websites. No, but we're just hold off, Ron. We're going to be relaunching very, very soon with a whole new structure. So Rob says live and thanks. You're welcome, Rob. So was this you, Rob, asking all these questions in Hump Day Hangouts? Because if so, they're great questions, man. I appreciate them. Anyway, so Ron, going back to what I was saying, just hold off. We're going to be relaunching with a whole new pricing structure and everything else very soon, in just a few weeks. So just hold off on that. Okay. There's no sense in jumping in there now with when we're going to be changing things around. We just had a meeting about it. So but that was you, Rob. Thank you for confirming. Well, good questions, man. I appreciate them. Keep it up, man. Chris says, how are you currently ranking your directory website, TreecareHQ, for multiple locations since you use 2 different domains? Okay. So I made a mistake, guys, about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe now, where I started to mix and it caused what I call brand pollution, right? Or entity ambiguation, where I wanted to develop local lead gen assets and piggyback off of the TreecareHQ brand, but I shouldn't have done that. And so I made a mistake. And that's why, in other words, I started to build TreecareHQ local projects. So some of them have GVPs. And but the problem is that TreecareHQ is a marketing agency. and a directory site. And so when I started creating Treecare HQ local locations, some had GMBs or Google Business Profiles. What happened was my GBPs on the local level, because I had more of those. I only had one GBP for my directory, and it was listed as a marketing agency. But then I had several GBPs out there with as Treecare HQ plus the city name. That's what I call Treecare HQ local. And those were tree service sites that were set up to generate leads for tree service contractors in that local area. And what happened was over time, it ended up, first of all, it caused my GBP for the marketing agency, Treecare HQ, to be suspended. And then number two, which is no big deal. I'm not all that worried about it. Other than it was an entity validator, I'm not really all that worried about it because I don't need a GBP for a directory site, a national directory site. But it is an entity validator, so that would have been helpful to keep, but it got suspended. So, but then also, I found that it cannibalized, like there's Google isn't quite sure about what Treecare HQ is. So because is it a tree service company or is it a marketing agency? And that's an odd combination. And so I made the mistake on that. And so when I realized that, which it took months for that to surface, for that kind of pollution to occur and for it to have an effect that was detrimental even to the directory. And so so then I switched. I still have a number of those assets out there, the local lead gen assets, because I just haven't had the time to switch them over to the Felling.pro domain or brand. But when I plus I was using the Felling.pro domain as just a test domain for various stuff that I've been testing now for local site structure and all that category and topic optimization and all the stuff that I've been teaching about the last 2 years. Felling.pro was one of the domains I was testing with, one of the brands that I was using to test that with. So anyways, long story short, I realized that you should have two separate entities, one for your directory brand and your agency, and then one specifically for lead gen assets that you create. And that's where Felling.pro became that. And so, like I said, I've only done it with one so far, where I've taken one of my Treecare HQ local sites and GBPs and converted it to Felling.pro. And so, anyway, to answer your question, how are you currently ranking your directory, Treecare HQ? Remember, I'm not trying to rank the directory for generic keywords. What I'm trying to rank the directory for are brand searches for the companies that are on the directory. So hopefully that's clear. The local lead gen brand, that's what I call the LLG brand, local lead gen brand, is Felling.pro. And Felling.pro is now where I've started building. I've only got, I think, 5 or 6 locations or sites out. I don't have any GBPs. Well, I got one GBP for it, only one. And I don't plan on getting GBPs under the Felling.pro brand, guys. I just converted one of my existing Treecare HQ local GBPs to Felling.pro. But I don't plan on doing that. The directory hybrid agency model is not about spamming GBPs. It's about building organic lead gen assets that then you promote to companies in that area where it's ranking, and then you assign or rent that site to them, and they have a valid GBP that can be re-verified, reinstated, etc. Because it's a real valid business location. I'm tired of working in Google Business Profiles on spammed listings, because that is, why would anybody, years ago when we could get away with it for long term, now it's so difficult to manage and maintain GBPs that are spammed that I don't want to waste any more time on that shit, guys. I just don't. I'm tired of it. I've been doing this long enough. I don't want to work on stuff that Google can pull the rug out from underneath me at any given moment. So the DHA model is about having a local lead generation brand that you use to build organic assets in low competition areas, and then you promote those assets to businesses in that area that have poor search performance, or they might have good GBP performance but no organic. And you can assign, and then you rent them the sites very inexpensively, guys. I'm renting my sites out for $99 a month, straight up, $99 a month. I know everybody in the rank and rent business model say, oh, you can build this and rent it out for 500, 1,000, $1,500 a month. Okay, great. How many of you are successful with that model? A very tiny fraction of you. But do you think you can rent a site out for $100 a month that is performing very well in organic search? If you go target those low competition areas, yeah, come on, guys, think about it. Then you make it up in volume. And these are sites that require damn near no, especially if you build them in high level, no maintenance at all. And most of these sites, if you do your keyword and competition research properly, you can identify areas that these sites are going to rank with damn near no backlinks at all. No kidding. Like, I'm not kidding. I got examples where I sharing in the mastermind about how, and I teach exactly, by the way, the DHA program teaches you specifically how to do keyword and competition research to identify these low competition areas. Why do we as SEOs always want to go out and target the hard areas with the high search volume? And tell a client, we're going to get you results first, top of page results in 5 or 6 months, just pay me $1,500 a month and blah, blah, blah. And then you're under an enormous amount of pressure. Why? Why do we do that? I've done it too, guys. Most of my career, I did the same thing. But I've got to a point in my career, I don't want to do that shit anymore. I would rather just go target low competition areas, sell them very inexpensive services that are going to produce results most of the time with no additional maintenance, no additional overhead, maybe a couple of links here and there, and that's it. And just make it up in volume because I got a good marketing and sales process in place, right? And just do it in volume. I'd rather have 300 clients paying me $100 a month, which is $30,000 a month in revenue, than 10 clients paying me $3,000 a month, where I'm under the gun to perform 100% of the time. Does that make sense? Like, think about it. You make it up in volume with easy to fulfill, repeatable, duplicatable, scalable services. You're selling a guaranteed deliverable, not a guaranteed result. But you can layer on, performance-based services if you want to add complexity to your business. But I'm at a point in my career, I don't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I'd rather work on the hard SEO shit for my own businesses and then work on selling services that are, foundational stuff that people need, and doing that in volume at low prices. So it makes it easier to sell, if that makes sense. So anyway, the Treecare HQ directory site is about ranking for brands. And then I use that when I get a client, that becomes a primary link building target with their budget, because I use their directory page on my site, my directory site, as one of the primary link building targets that I'm using their budget to build links to. Does that make sense? So I'm benefiting my asset on their behalf, but using their budget to do it, right? And I'm benefiting from it as well. And then Felling Pro is the same thing. Felling Pro is I'm going out and identifying low competition areas, building sites. When they rank, then I pitch to those contractors in that area, then rent them that site. And now if I need to build any links to it, it's going to be their budget that I'm building links to. I'm only renting them the site. They don't get to buy it. If they want to take it with them, then fine. They can sign up to a high level through my affiliate link, and I'll push it into their high level account. And they're at $97 a month high level. They pay 40% recurring commissions. They're still going to pay me $40 a month for that website, even after they leave. Does that make sense? So Felling Pro is my LLG brand. Treecare HQ is my directory brand. That's what I teach in the DHA agency now, is to come up with both. And again, it's amazing. We've got a very small group in the first phase 1 of the DHA program. And we've got several people out there, several people in the group that already have, 3 to 5 sites that they built. Some have many more, and that have got page 1 rankings already. So they've got targeted assets that they can use to pitch to contractors, companies, et cetera, in that area. So hopefully that's clear. Just do that 15 minutes. On your Treecare HQ website, how do you also SEO optimize for landscaping and excavation? What would the page title in H1 be? I don't optimize for landscaping and excavation. The reason why those categories are on my directory is because some tree contractors also do landscaping and or excavation work. That's the only reason why. It's just because when we talk to a tree contractor that does those other things, they want it known. And so this just, again, that's why if you look at Treecare HQ, the vast majority of them are just tree contractors, but there is a small amount that are also referenced as landscapers and some as excavators. And so I don't really optimize for those others, guys. Just to be clear, like I said, I'm not trying to optimize for excavators or landscapers. That's just because some tree contractors also provide those other services, those other service categories. That's why they're there. Okay. I focus just on the tree service stuff. That's it. And don't get me wrong. If I was going to duplicate my process into another industry, it would likely be landscaping, because it's so closely related. So like landscapers, would be the industry that I would target if I was going to duplicate this, most likely, because I've already built, it's almost the same marketing, very, very similar services and et cetera. I mean, it's slightly different, but that's probably what I would duplicate if I was going to do something outside of the tree service industry. Okay. Yes, Rob, absolutely. We have man, look, I'll just demonstrate it right now. Just kind of clear. I'm just working on this directory CRM. This is the high level SOP. Just give me a second. This is updates. I'll show you just again. I just love to demonstrate this. Maybe if I show my SOPs more often, you guys would want to join more. So maybe I'll show more often. Yeah, okay, so let's go into this. We're gonna look at right here, keyword and location research. Take a look at this. Join the mastermind. You'll get this the moment you join. You can in the SOP section. But this is very, very thorough. It talks about products and services, then using Google Trends to identify the areas, then there's this is actually a little bit more involved than what's needed. There's a quicker, much easier way to use Writer's End to identify. Writer's End's a great tool that I only use for keyword research. It does on-page, content writing and all that kind of stuff. I don't use it for anything other than keyword research. That's it. It's a great tool for that. I don't know if they still have a deal on AppSumo, but I teach very specifically how to very quickly with just Google Trends and Writer's End, those two tools alone, which Google Trends is free. Writer's End, I think they still have some lifetime deal options available, and they might even still be on AppSumo. But even at the monthly, guys, I teach very specifically how very quickly you can use Google Trends and Writer's End to identify low competition areas. And then that's where you go out and build LOG sites, local lead gen sites, organic assets only. That's it. You don't need to worry about anything else, just that. Once you have that ranking, which again, you just duplicate sites, do a bunch of keyword and competition research, identify locations that are low competition, and it's the same site template, guys, every single time. You understand? Don't go out and try this for 10 industries. Do it in one. You do it in one, and you build site after site after site. By the way, I just requested from my staffing agency today if they can staff somebody for me that will go into training for how to build these LOG sites so that we can offer that as a done for you service. We're probably going to offer that for $60. No kidding. $60 to have one of these LOG sites built and deployed for you in high level so that you can go out and sell them for $99 a month, guys. Think about that. It's $1,200 a year off of a site that you paid $60 for. Think about it. Like, it's a whole different business model, guys, but it gets away from all this bullshit that we've all done in the SEO industry of always targeting the high competition and stuff. Look, everybody needs a website, and everybody needs a website that performs well in local search. And I've got the proper structure down that for service area businesses anyways. That again, time and again, I've proven that the structure is performing like crazy right now. And the members of the DHA program are many of them are experiencing some of the same things. So again, this is one of those SOPs where it's very, very thorough. See how guys, I'm really, really thorough about this stuff. But this will help you to very quickly identify those areas. Then we have, lastly, just quickly, let me just show you on page. I prefer high level sites any day of the week over WordPress now. So here is the LOG site deployment in high level. I also got one for WordPress. But guys, I mean, it's so thorough that you can plug a VA into this and a VA can learn how to build these sites for you. Right. And I talked about this before, but I don't pay VAs by the hour. I think I've got 2 hourly employees out of 28, and the rest of them are all on pay per task basis because that gives them incentive to improve, to become more efficient, to improve their productivity. The more they produce, the more money they make. And so this type of an LOG site, if somebody going through this SOP for the first time, it's probably going to take 6 hours to build a site. The second time they do it, it'll probably take 4. The third time they do it might take 3.5. I can do it now. I've done probably 15 or 20 of these sites myself. I can deploy one of these sites in about 2.5 hours myself. And I've got members of my program and our support manager, Chris G. He's been developing apps and tools that make this process even more efficient. So within the next couple of weeks, we ought to be able to have this down to 90 minutes on deploying one of these sites from start to finish, fully optimized, ready to go, deployed, set to index, gone, ready to go, 90 minutes flat. So why I bring that up is instead of paying by the hour, which gives your worker no incentive to improve their efficiency. In fact, doesn't it incentivize them to slow down? Of course it does. Instead, pay them a flat fee per site build and tell them initially you're not going to make much money, but as you become more efficient at this process, which through repetition you will be more efficient, you can significantly increase your revenue, the revenue earned or generated. So in other words, if I'm paying a VA, let's say $35 or $40 to generate one of these sites for me, and they get to the point where, especially as we add the apps and tools that my support manager, Chris G, has been developing, it's making things a lot faster and easier for us. They get it down to 90 minutes. If you think about that, let's say we pay $40 for a site build, and it takes them, 4 hours the first time, and that's just, or 6 hours the first time. So you're looking like $8 an hour, something like that, which is still a decent wage for like a Philippines VA or something like that. But instead, why not incentivize them to make serious money, which is what I do with my VAs, which is why they're fiercely loyal. And that is pay them $40 for one of these sites. And by the time they get down to 90 minutes, let's say 2 hours, let's say it takes them 2 hours when they're proficient. That's now they're making $20 an hour. Can you imagine as a VA in the Philippines making $20 an hour? That's considerable money. So that's why I said, guys, think about that. If you're paying $40, we're going to probably charge 60 when we launch it as a done for you service. Like I said, I just requested to get somebody trained in it to do these for us now so that we can offer that as a done for you service. And so if we're, if you're paying $35, $40, $50 or even, think about that, guys. You build one, just say you just built one site a week or something like that. You're only a couple $100 a month. I would recommend you do more than that, but that's an outlay. And very quickly, some of these sites, based upon the previous SOP that I just showed you, which was keyword and competition research, you can identify those competition areas where then once you have that site built and deployed, it's likely going to rank with next to no backlinks at all. If you need a couple of backlinks, guess what? I got that too. But for real, geographic links, I built 1,400 blogs now of geographic links that are help significantly move the needle for these types of projects. So you can buy niche edits because remember, there's no supporting assets for these sites. It's just the LLG site, which means a niche edit, you only need one target URL from the post. Like in other words, when I sell niche relevant blog links, which are like guest posts on niche relevant blogs, or geographic links, which are like guest posts on geographic blogs, geographically relevant blogs, that's 2 links in a map embed. That's if you have a GBP. Those are more appropriate. So a link to the money site, link to the IDPage, and a Google map embed. But when all you have is one organic asset only, which is what I'm teaching with the LOG stuff, all you need is one link because it's one target URL. There's no additional assets, no GBP, there's no supporting assets, at least not initially. Once you monetize the site for $99 a month with no maintenance because it's on high level, there's no hosting, there's no WordPress updates, none of that. Then once you get it monetized, then you can use some of your client's money to build supporting assets, right? If you want, or links or whatever it is that you want. But again, so this is just a very, very, very important method that I've developed that is just, it's transformed my business model. And that's what I'm trying to teach to others right now, to get away from the shit that we've all been dealing with in the SEO industry, in the local SEO space anyway, for many, many years. I'm just tired of working so hard, guys, for my money. I don't know about you guys, but I am. So anyway, very, very, very detailed process, guys. I'm telling you, I give the ZimWriter prompts for content. I mean, everything, how to set up Search Console, all the stuff that is needed in this is here. So you can plug a VA into this. If you join the mastermind, you get the SOP template, you can plug a VA in and build your own in-house build team. Or if you don't want to go through all that, hopefully within about the next 2 weeks, we will have this available as a done for you service. Does that make sense? It was a good question. Okay, moving on. Oh, Robert Gage. Robert, I hope you know I wasn't picking on you, man. That was just a very long question. So, okay, yeah, I appreciate that, man. I see that you said you're going to reword it a little bit, and yeah, and that's just because that's a lot of concept that I'd have to read through, and we'd lose people. They'd be canceling the watching because it's just very long. So I'm not picking on you, man. I hope you understand that. I appreciate the question. I would love to answer it for you if it can be broken down a little bit better. John says, for Felling Pro, how would you host WordPress for each location? Subdomain, absolutely. That's exactly what I teach. That's what I do with, whether it's on WordPress or high level, it's subdomains. So on Felling Pro, everything that I do, look, guys, just go to felling.pro. You'll see the homepage right now. It's just a location. It's just a landing page on high level that is just a directory page to my subdomain sites. That's it. That's it. So it's all subdomains, guys, because every time you build a link to any one of your subdomain sites, it's going to benefit the parent domain, which will in turn benefit all of the sibling subdomains. Does that make sense? Think about it, guys. You're building an asset and you use your client's money to build links to your assets that benefits all your other assets associated with that brand. It's bootstrapping your business, guys, using OPP, other people's money, or OPM, other people's money, not OPP, other people's money, right? That was a concept that I learned in the real estate business, learning how to flip in wholesale business, real estate, whether it was houses or land. It was about, using other people's money to fund your deals. And so I just kind of translated that into local SEO, which is like virtual real estate, really, if you think about it. And so this is how you use your client's money to fund building assets for your benefit. On their behalf, they're going to benefit from it too, but so do you. And even when they cancel and leave, you maintain the benefit from that. Instead of traditional services, guys, where you use your client's money to build their assets up, and the moment they leave, you're left with nothing other than the revenue that you generated while they were on retainer, if that makes sense. Why? Why do we do that? Why don't we build our businesses simultaneously, which is what I'm trying to teach. Hopefully that's clear. All right. Hosted on separate WordPress sites. So I need to purchase a site license for each subdomain from my hosting provider. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you need a site license for. If you've got a decent host, you should be able to add subdomains. And the WordPress site is just WordPress. So I don't know what you mean by site license, John. I'm not picking on you, man. I just don't understand what that means. You should be able to build, I recommend you guys get into high level if you're going to be building these sites, because for $97 a month with a high level starter account, you can host unlimited websites and there's no maintenance required. None. Guys, if you log into your WordPress site 5 times in a week, you're going to have updates 5 times that week. Think about it. At least every site that I log into, every time I log into it, I swear to God, it doesn't matter if it was just yesterday, there's more updates that have to be applied. Imagine doing that across hundreds of sites. I don't care if main WP, all those other kind of things. I don't care. It's still an absolute management nightmare. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of WordPress, man. I really am. High level is far superior in my opinion now. And a year ago, I would have told you something completely different. I would have said, build everything in WordPress, but they've come a long way recently with their site builders and the performance of their sites. So, and it's infinitely scalable is my point. Okay. Only got a few more minutes, so I want to try to run through these guys. Great questions, by the way, guys. What is the best site and page structure for a business that does residential and commercial roofing, plus roof repair, maintenance, install, gutter maintenance, and siding? Again, I've covered that. I've covered that exact topic in the mastermind. I'm not kidding. Show you exactly how to do it. But on the short end of this, the short answer, because I don't have time to go through all this in 3 minutes, okay? But that's a great question. But the short answer is you have the service pages, which would be commercial roofing and residential roofing. That's it. You have 2 service pages where in each of those service pages, you have, through the proper page structure, headings and subheadings, you convey all of the services: roof repair, roof inspection, roof cleaning, roof replacement, roof installation, all of that stuff, right? On the residential. And in commercial, sometimes they have, other, they call it like flat roofing and rubber roofing and roof sealing and all that other kind of stuff. So there's different kinds of services, and some of them have overlap, but you have a residential roofing services page, commercial roofing services page, and then you have location pages. That's it. Your location pages is roofing contractor in the SEO title. And then as the H1, I would make it roof maintenance. Guys, go look and go to Google and search repairs Wikipedia. The first listing in Google is going to be repairs Wikipedia. And when you open that up, it's going to be a redirect page that redirects to maintenance. And when you open up maintenance, it says maintenance involves the functional check, servicing, inspection, repairing, and replacing of building components, parts, etc. I've almost memorized it. No kidding. Because repairs equals maintenance, but maintenance equals all of those other things: inspection, servicing, repair, replacement. So roof maintenance is your top level topic term. Roofing contractor is your top level category, Google business category. So you optimize location pages for roofing contractor plus city plus brand. And then your H1 is roof maintenance. So you got your top level topic term covered in the H1, which is the second most important place to place the keyword, or in this case, topic or category or entity, right? And then on that page is where you reference we provide the following roof repair or roofing services, right? That's a different variant. And then you have a link that goes to, and what I would do is a table. So a 2-column table that underneath an H2 heading, an H2 is a heading. So I would have a heading, an H2, that would say, we provide the following roofing services in, and restate the city and state of that location page. And then I would have H3s in the 2 columns, right? So it would be an H3 that would have residential roofing services, commercial roofing services. Those would be hyperlinks to their respective service pages. Then underneath that, I would have a bullet point that would be H3s. So in that same column, so residential services column, that would be an H3, residential services H3, link to that page, that service page. But then I would have bullet points that would be H3s or H4s, underneath that H3 under residential roofing services that would have roof repair, roof installation, roof inspection. Those don't have to be hyperlinks. But now there's a specific mention of those services on the location page. You understand? The location page, you don't need content, guys. You don't need to have roof repair on that location page and then, 2 paragraphs of content, and then roof inspection and 2 paragraphs, and you don't need that. All of that is thoroughly explained on the service page. All you need is the reference on the location page. Keep the location page short, succinct, to satisfy the intent of the searcher. Who is the business? How do I contact them? And if I want more information about the products or services, where do I go? Well, think about the structure I just described. It's an H2 that says we provide the following roofing services in city, state. H3 links to residential services. H3 linked to commercial services. Bullet points that reference the headings, the H2s of those service pages. Now you've covered everything. You don't need content on that page. You need headings and images, call to action, contact form. That's what you need on the location page, not content. Promise you guys. Those of you guys out there that have this 3,000 or 1,500 to 3,000 word articles on your location pages, and you got a location page for roof repair and roof installation, all of that, stop it. You're killing yourself. I promise you guys. I promise you you're killing yourself. The performance of that site. Learn how to optimize how Google wants us to optimize. Be more efficient about it. And so again, guys, I'm telling you, I've already covered roofing in the mastermind. We have example audits, not examples. They're real live projects that I audited for members. Anyways, we're past the minute, the time mark, guys. So I'm gonna have to cancel these, or I'm gonna hide these. Like I said, Robert, if you're still watching, if you want to reword your questions and post them for next week, we'll get to them. I'm not going to discount these questions, guys. I'm going to go ahead and highlight these for next week as well, like I did previous week. And we'll come back to these. Fantastic questions today, guys. I really appreciate that. And hope that we can get to a lot more questions like this next week as well. So I appreciate everybody being here. Sorry if I didn't get a chance to get into comments, guys, but I got to go. So see you guys next week.